There are riffs that seem to walk into the room before the song even begins. A few notes, a certain rhythm, a little space between the strings. And suddenly, you know exactly where you are. This is the sound of Keith Richards.
I like his guitar playing because he's come up with some of the great riffs. It's a great song. It's the sort of song that you would never believe it was written by a white middle-class English guy, you know. When they became a little bit more into it and writing their stuff, they were writing some lovely stuff, you know.
In 1965, Keith Richards found one. Just 5 notes.
I don't know whether people expected satisfaction, but it was a kind of an explosion, really, of a song which was absolutely perfect for them and perfect for the whole pop rock revolution that was happening.
And the genius of the riff isn't simply the notes, it's the space between them.
Probably one of the greatest singles of all time. I asked Mick Jagger what was the greatest riff Keith had ever come up with, and he had absolutely no hesitation in saying, well, it's got to be Satisfaction, it doesn't come any better than that.
Richards doesn't rush. The guitar hits, pauses, it's again. Then comes the famous story of the sound itself. Richards originally imagined the riff with horns.
Well, what we know is that Keith has talked about that riff as being suggestive of a horn section as you'd hear on an R&B record. They were all R&B fans, ardent. And so when you heard those horn sections, you couldn't help but be attracted to them and want to incorporate them in your own style. So he's often talked about the idea behind the riff to Satisfaction, almost as if you would hear it with a horn section instead of a single guitar. You would simply boost it. And the most boosting that could be done in those days was putting massive fuzz on it. There was a device called a fuzz tone.
The repetition creates tension, while the fuzz gives every note an abrasive, almost broken edge.
And they use that as a sound effect to color the guitar and make it sound huge.
A brass section blasting out the melody with the force of a soul record. That was the breakthrough.
You walked around cities and all over the world, and all you could hear was Satisfaction playing. You know, I mean, it just was one of those records that pervaded everything and everybody at that time.
And that mattered because the song itself was about dissatisfaction. The lyrics describe a world of advertising, television, sex, fame, and consumer culture.
There is this generational sea change going on, and the Rolling Stones have become very much part of that. They become almost figureheads of it because they were the bad boys.
A young man surrounded by messages telling him what he should want, while feeling that he still can't get what he needs.
How white my shirts could be, but he can't be a man 'cause he doesn't smoke.
The idea came to him in the middle of the night, while the Rolling Stones were staying in Clearwater, Florida.
Keith woke up in the middle of the night with this riff, and he played it to Jagger the next morning. They were on tour in Clearwater in Florida. He played it, I think, sitting around the swimming pool, and Mick wrote the words.
But ironically, Keith Richards himself wasn't convinced. He wasn't even sure the song was worth pursuing.
But Keith then had this terrible moment where he thought, he'd stolen the riff from somewhere, and he thought perhaps it was from Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, and he wasn't entirely convinced of the originality of what they'd done.
I can't get low. No.
Mick wasn't convinced by it, and Jagger and Richards actually voted against the track being released. Fortunately, they were outvoted by Brian Jones, Bill Wyman, and Charlie Watts, and with Andrew Oldham, that made 4 against 2. So the single came out, and of course, the rest is history.
And without Brian Jones, Andrew Loog Oldham, and the rest of the Stones, that late night idea might have disappeared into the darkness.
Hey, that's what I say.
More than 60 years later, the riff still feels immediate. Because perhaps the greatest thing about it is that it never really gives you satisfaction. And that's exactly why you keep listening.
Come on.